Southwest Topeka has a good neighbor. State Farm agent Jim Garrison, now at 29th and Urish. If your current insurance situation has you going around in circles, get off the roundabout and stop in and meet Jim and his wonderfully efficient staff. Let Jim Garrison give you a quote and make the Garrison comparison. He's confident that with State Farm's competitive rates, the right coverage, and his unmatched service, you'll want to make him your new insurance agent. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and Jim Garrison is there for you, northeast of the roundabout at 29th and Urish.
When someone has a passion for what they do, it comes through in the product they provide their customers. Just ask LaRocco's Pizza's new owner, Jason Johnson, about their crust. They make it every day and let it rise for a minimum of 24 hours before they use it for their pizza. And his staff doesn't want to do anything they won't be the best at, and you can taste it in their pizza. LaRocco's Pizza, just a half block north of the I-470 and Gage Boulevard exit. Come taste the difference.
It's time for Real Estate 101 with the Carrie Brown team from Preferred Advisors.
Good Saturday morning to you. This is Carrie Brown with eXp Realty, and you're listening to Real Estate 101. I am here with Jason Gesing. Good morning, Jason.
Hey, Carrie. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I am great. So Jason has a very big, important title with eXp. He is the Executive Vice President of eXp World Holdings.
Well, so I'll say my most, I think, most important title, and this has been true since 2010, joined the company, just agent and shareholder, really, at various points in time. But thanks.
Absolutely. So I know that I'm really new with the company, but I had been watching my friend Jeff Willem and Marcy. They had been... They are fellow agents with me. They also have a Barbara Corcoran endorsement, and so anyway, we were all at an event in New York, and they were telling me about it, and we all kind of sat back and said, well, let's just watch him for a little bit and see how it goes, and we are kicking ourselves now. So,
well, I'll tell you, Jeff and Marcy, great friends for me. I mean, I've come to know them pretty well and talk with them regularly, see them not often enough, although I'll see them, I guess, this upcoming week. And I think I saw an announcement come across Facebook today that they've just built their organization to 1,000 agents. And when they joined us, I don't remember how many team members they have when they joined, but I think it was about 22.
That sounds about right.
So, yeah, they've been great contributors to the company and to its growth and everything.
Absolutely. And, you know, they went through the value proposition with several of us that night at dinner, and we were like, well, you know, it's still kind of new on the scene. We're going to watch and see what kind of success you have. And in a very short amount of time, I think it's right under or right at 2 years, they now have 1,000 people in their organization, which is that's just unbelievable. But amazing for them.
And don't be kicking yourself, because we're just getting started. So welcome. We're thrilled to have you here, and I look forward to all of your success in Kansas as we build this thing together.
Absolutely, and I'll be seeing you in Arizona next week also.
That's right.
So everybody keeps asking about eXp, and I know this is a real estate show, and with it being new, I wanted the consumers to kind of get an idea of what it means. I have a lot of people say, you know, I'm really interested in real estate. I think I'm going to be a real estate agent. I don't know what all it means. I don't know how to pick a company. I actually owned a real estate franchise, was a broker owner. I've been a mega team for another company. So I've kind of started out as an individual, you know, all the stages that you would anticipate an agent being, part-time to full-time. But this is one that I'm really excited about. And so I really want to kind of dial back to when it first started. Can you tell me a little bit about, you know, what the goal was, why they started it the way they did?
Yeah, I can. And I can do that because I joined the company in January 2010 because of Glenn Spencer, and he's the founder. He is the CEO. He is a mentor to every agent who's looking for mentorship. He's a friend, and he was also a very successful agent with a technology background, financial services background. He didn't in real estate, but he knew a lot about online lead generation and was able to achieve success with it long before most people have heard of any of the companies that we throw around today, Zillow and the like. and he was a top. He ran a top team at a national brokerage, and then branched out onto his own. I think it was about 2006, and he had physical locations in I think 3 different states at least. And I could be off on that a little bit, but each of those locations had offices and desks and people answering telephones and telephones themselves and furniture and magazine subscriptions and ink for the photocopier. And when the market took a turn, he said to his staff, literally, he said, in October 2009, don't come into the office on Monday because the technology exists today where you can have all the socialization, the collaboration, the broker support, the training, the water cooler chats. All of that can now take place without the cost associated with brick and mortar, and it can take place without boundaries. And so I was compelled by that, and thought it made a lot of sense. I saw the benefits that would accrue to the people who were part of the organization as a result of the savings, and I also saw an opportunity really to help grow it. And so I've been an enthusiastic supporter and hopefully a good contributor ever since. And we've done some amazing things. So back then, when I joined, I think we probably had somewhere between 50 and 60 agents in the entire country, and most of them were in the western part of the country. And I joined up in little old Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and began to try and find people that were a lot more credible than I was to join the organization. Today we've got about 15,000, I think was our last reported number, and we're in all 50 states and 3 Canadian provinces. So it's been an amazing journey, and been able to get to know incredible agents like yourself and other people in all markets all over the country.
What's really amazing is I took a few key players in my team to New Orleans with Rodney and Amanda, and that was our first real atmosphere type where you could see everybody, you could see how they were working together, and just really kind of get a feel for what the company was about. And we also took Tim's wife, Amy, and Amy was like, I don't know what you people are waiting on. I mean, the first day, she was like, okay, where do we sign exactly? Which was really awesome. Just the collaboration and what could be done. And the fact that, you have this virtual world, which was also really fun to watch and participate in now. Because you're right.
Yeah, we ought to describe the world for your listeners too, so they, because a lot of people say they're virtual or they operate virtually, and they're correct. But I think what we're doing is fundamentally different. So we've got an avatar-based campus that has a soccer field on it. It's got classrooms for training. You can dance in there.
It's got a beach. The holidays,
it's got a beach. There was snow falling. You can take a speedboat ride. So in addition to all of the business, all of the learning and all of the support that goes on there every day, there's real bonds and relations formed. Except now, all of that value that the agent has come to know, that your agents knew, referral relationships, support on a rough day, how to approach a certain situation, all of that. There's always been value in it, and I think we've been able to take that value, but just expand it without any sort of geographic limitation, so that an agent in Hawaii can sit across a table, literally, from an agent in Massachusetts, and they can work together and support one another. And importantly, all of our agents are shareholders of the public company of which we're a subsidiary, and so they work in tandem. And they're thrilled when they see somebody else in the company succeed. You mentioned the events. I'm actually looking across right now out my window at the location where we had our shareholder event back in 2016, April of 2016. So you referred to New Orleans. We do 2 major annual events each year. New Orleans was our conference, which is each October, and then in April, though this year it's in June. Historically, it's been in April. We do our event for agent shareholders, and so we're looking forward to that. That'll be in Orlando this June.
Which we'll be there for too. Our what they would call a downline, or our group, basically. I'm at a loss for words here. Basically, we're all meeting in Arizona, and they help, with education and how to effectively explain how it works and everything. And I'm really excited about that. That'll be the first one I get to go to.
And your observation was spot on, right? So I think it's important for people who are listening and they're thinking to themselves, what, avatars, speedboats, Hawaii, Boston, it can sound a little crazy. But what you saw in New Orleans was a perfect demonstration of just how interpersonal it is, right? It's just how much people get to know one another in our world. And I think there's probably and bond building and collaboration and teamwork in our world than exists in the vast majority of physical offices. And so those events are really important because I think I've yet to speak to somebody actually who's been to one of our events as a guest in consideration of joining the company, and or while considering joining the company, who hasn't gone on to do so. And I think that those events are great because they make people realize that yes, these are people. Yes, these are people just like me. Yes, I may have a steep learning curve, but yes, so do these folks. And there's a lot of good energy and a lot of good feeling.
There really is, and it was really enlightening just to kind of see, everybody work together and they really wanted to help each other succeed. And the way the model is set up, it really fosters that environment because by helping each other, you're helping each other to succeed on really large levels. So very exciting. And when it comes to brick and mortar, I was going to say earlier, it's so rare that you really see an agent show up into the office. I mean, there's some that they'll come in every day and kind of treat it like a job, like they should. But most of them work from home. And I mean, I have a home office. I have an office at the office. I'm more productive at home. I really am. So
and I think that's true for a lot of people now. A lot of offices are empty spaces, and in part because the business is no longer walking in the door or coming across the telephone. And so all that value that I referred to is now no longer there either, right? So we've been able to put that back in place. But there was something else I was going to say, but I forgot. Go ahead.
You had mentioned that like the education, and that you could be sitting across the table from somebody in Hawaii and me in Kansas, and my first statement to them would be, I'm really jealous that you're in Hawaii and I'm not. But basically, in any of the rooms that you go into, there could be somebody from Canada, Arizona, New Orleans, California. Just anybody from anywhere, and you could set up that bonding type thing. You're talking through your computer. It's a really awesome experience, and it makes it easier to collaborate. Right.
And, here's my opinion on offices, which, personally, I don't have any problem. I don't want to say that somebody can't work out of an office, right? But I think what we don't want to say is that agents who are out there, making it happen, driving the revenues, building the relationships. We don't want to say that you've got to subsidize of somebody else who's signing leases and entering into long terms on those leases and expansion obligations and negotiating the rent. I mean, the agents are paying for that, whether it's abundantly clear or not. But that cost, somebody's paying that rent. And generally speaking, it's the agent. And so, we do have people in certain markets that are, they have offices but those offices, to the extent that the regulations allow, they're branded in the name of the team or the name of the agent. But those are offices that work for them. They're in a location that really works for them. And they get to decide how big it should be. They get to decide how much they're willing to pay.
Absolutely. And I had seen on Facebook where Glenn was actually traveling in a motorhome and he was doing everything remote.
He was, yes. Better part of a year, I think.
Yeah. I think that would be fun myself. Not everybody would, but I think it's awesome that you can do that.
And he was in the office every single day while he was in the motorhome.
Absolutely. So back to the education portion, I know that there are several different groups that teach, and there's just tons and tons of training every day, which is free, and not something you get from every place that you go. Because usually they'll say it's free, but it is to an extent, and then it starts to cost. Especially whenever you're dealing with super high producing agents, and they're giving you like the keys to the kingdom. And if you actually follow what most of them say, you skip that learning curve significantly. But the icon agents with the company, can you explain how they're giving back?
Yeah, absolutely. So yesterday at noon, the company does a weekly, what they call a leadership meeting on Fridays in the main auditorium. Got that name, by the way, because every agent in the company, by virtue of just being with us and seeing the future and seeing the vision and wanting to be part of it, a leader, right, in some respects. And after that, we had what is a weekly session now called iConversations. And so each week we've got, I think it's always 3, but each week we've got 3 different people who have qualified as icons under our Icon Agent program. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but they basically, to use your wording, they give out, here are the keys to the kingdom, and go get them and let us know how we can help. And if you have questions, it's two-way communication, and we want nothing more than to see you succeed. So that happens every single week, and as you point out, no cost. Now, the icons, they're producing at a certain level that qualifies them as icons, and they're committing to giving back. And if they achieve that level and they agree to give back, then they are going to receive their entire cap back in the form of eXp World Holding Stock. That's the parent company, with a vesting period. But it's been amazing to see over the years the progression in terms of numbers of folks who have joined us who have seen that, and they've qualified as icons in some cases for consecutive years. Our cap, by the way, is $16,000.
Right, which is significantly less than most places. And
it is, but I point that out just in terms of the value of the icon award.
Absolutely.
It's substantial.
It is. It absolutely is. And I tell you, whenever I got in, our level of training was how not to get sued, how to write a contract. It was very much bare bones, and typically it's because your competition's training you, and we're people. And not everybody wants to give you all of their insider information because they're also your competition. So it's really cool because these guys are all over the country, and there's none of that going on. Everybody's helping each other.
That's right.
And not every company does that. I know I was recently with a company. I worked really hard to try and set up a network because I had come originally from Keller Williams, and I loved the online version of it where everybody was helping each other, and just could not get the company on board with it. And that kind of felt like a loss, because when you're used to having that kind of collaboration and then it's gone. I mean, fortunately, I'm really lucky that I have the group that we all collaborate with Barbara Corcoran, but I miss that day-to-day interaction. So coming to eXp and seeing that, we have our own private workplace through Facebook, and then all of the meetings and, the virtual world, that is just, it's huge in your business because there's always ideas, and it kind of keeps that momentum going and keeping you exciting and a reason to get out of bed and say, okay, today I'm going to do this because it worked for them.
Right.
So
absolutely. And you mentioned workplace, and that's been a huge benefit. And, I think for as long as I've been with the company, there have always been several different ways in which you can collaborate, several different ways in which you can communicate. Some work better for some folks, and some work better for others. But workplace certainly has been a tremendous benefit.
So one of the questions I had somebody ask me was, what is the meaning of eXp? How did you come up with the name?
Well, I didn't. Glenn did. But certainly that question has come up, and it's one that I asked probably back in 2010 myself. And as I understand it, really, if you go through the dictionary and you look at words that begin with that prefix, they all have, positive connotations. And it really was that simple, right? So we used to say eXp, the prefix of real estate, if you expect experience, exposure, and expedience, you should explore eXp Realty. So that was on the back of every business card. I'm not sure if it is still today, but so there are a lot of eXp words, and they're all progressive and positive, and it's fit. It's a good fit.
Absolutely. I know why I came, but I would love to have you explain it. What do you think is the benefit of a private owner or even a franchise owner coming on to eXp?
Okay, so this is huge, and I think we're seeing more and more owners come over, and really when you think about it, because of licensing law and also the nature of the business as it's always been practiced, is you have an office and it's in a location and you're a member of an MLS, and you're going to draw talent. You can only get so big as that region will allow, right? Maybe that's 20, 30 miles around your office, a radius around your office. Maybe it's the MLS region, but beyond that, you really can't go into another market. You might go into another market within a state, but rare is the brokerage owner that is going to, though they may have the aspirations and the vision and the ability to succeed, rare is the brokerage owner that really can go from Kansas into Missouri, right, or from Kansas into Nevada, or from Kansas into Calgary up in Alberta. But what eXp does, it allows you to do that. It allows you to scale in a way that otherwise wouldn't be possible. And so what I mean by that is one of the elements of the model is our revenue sharing model, and basically it rewards agents for helping the company grow through attracting good and productive agents. And so if you're that brokerage owner and maybe you've been on some committees at the state level or maybe NAR, you've established credibility, people respect you because you've been in the business for a long time, you're now able to take that and you're able to call people that you know who think can benefit from the opportunity, and they could be 1,500 miles away, and you can attract them into the organization, and you're going to get a financial benefit from that as a percentage of gross commission income off of the work or off of the production that they do and that others do who they might bring in. So it really is a scalable solution. You don't have to go as you otherwise would and sign leases in other states or hire staff in other states. You don't have to go and get a management broker's license in those other states. You don't have to make the capital investment. So for me, it's probably one of the most compelling parts of the model. And as you start to think about the market, and remember, eXp was launched in the downturn. When the market turns again, we want to help people stay in business, and we think we're a good option for that.
So one of the questions, and actually one of the things that was really intriguing whenever Jeff started talking to us about it, was the revenue share in stock. Can you explain what revenue share is exactly?
Yeah. Well, for me, it's if you think about what we do, because of the way we work, right, going back to the technology and the Avatar Campus, here's the connection. Here's how you connect the dots. We're able to be in all 50 states with 15,000 plus agents. We're able to provide personalized service, right? So these are people that are walking into our transaction office and sitting across from somebody, or walking in and getting tech support. But we might have 70 people on our tech support team, geographically distributed from all over, very talented in providing that interpersonal support. And we're in, I don't even know how many MLSs we're in now. The last time number I knew, I think it was like about 400. And if you start to think about what you would have to do to be in that number of markets in a traditional model, you'd have to have offices, you'd have to have at least one transaction staff member in each one of those markets. So you're talking 400 staff members for transactions, 400 people answering the phone, 400 people on tech support. You get the idea. So between that and the savings on rent, we've been able to, and this was genius on Glenn's part, we also can grow efficiently. The way we do that is we say to our agents, you're here, we value you, go out and find other people that are good, productive agents like yourself. Go find other mega agents. Bring them in, and you're going to get a percentage of the gross commission income that they produce on each and every transaction. And it's been enormously effective, and it's also quite lucrative because of our cost structure. But make no mistake, if we didn't have the campus, if we didn't build community, if we didn't have the avatars building the community in the way that we do, it wouldn't be possible.
Absolutely. And really, honestly, a lot of brokerages don't necessarily care for teams because they feel like it cuts into their income. And with eXp, they very much want you to not only be a team, but bring in a team if you choose to do so. So it's a total mind shift from what we're used to. I know whenever I started building my team, my broker sat me down and said, okay, how is this going to benefit me? And he's a great guy. We had a really good dialogue. Wasn't ugly or anything of the sort, because totally love the guy. But it was a valid question from his standpoint. And I love the fact that this is a world where it is encouraged, and crossing into other markets and going into other states and building massive organizations is okay.
Yeah, you talked about the opportunity for brokerage owners, and I talked about scale. Well, same thing applies to teams, right? And one of the areas in which we've gained great traction since October 2016 in particular is with these teams that are, tops in the country. They're making all the lists, the Wall Street Journal list, the Real Trends list. They're, in Jeff and Marcy's case, right, they joined us, they were doing, I think, 600 transactions per year. I mean, that's phenomenal. So, again, if you're running one of these teams, you may have aspirations to expand it. You may want to go into other states. You may know good people who can take your team brand, your personal brand, and help get it into a new market. But you've either got to be with an independent that has a presence in those markets, or you got to set it up yourself. And we've already gone over the challenges that exist there for a brokerage owner. Or you got to be with a franchise company. And the only issue there is that every franchise office is independently owned and operated, and so you've got to navigate different policies, different cultures. There's different financial structures from market to market. There's a consistency here. And so the team now, eXp is perfect for teams that really want to expand. The other thing I'll say, just not to leave anybody out, that brokerage opportunity, the brokerage owner opportunity, the expansion opportunity, it's the same thing that exists for every single agent in our company. Every single agent in the company can stand in the shoes of the brokerage owner, but without having to review the trust accounts, without having to review the files, they can go and help build the company by introducing good agents in other markets who they have a personal relationship with into the organization.
Absolutely. So there really is no cap or discouraging ways in which the company is not saying, listen, let's make this bigger, let's grow bigger, it's okay for you to do this. I know that I had looked at bringing someone on my team at one point and lost the opportunity because I was told with a franchise that I had to purchase another franchise, run it like a whole other office, which did not make financial sense. So that was a lost opportunity. And that's just not what you want to do. If you have big goals and you have ideas, you want to be able to actually use them. Jason, I really appreciate you coming on the show and explaining all of that. We're going to take a quick break for our Lender Minute, and thanks for joining us on Real Estate 101.
When someone has a passion for what they do, it comes through in the product they provide their customers. Just ask LaRocco's Pizza's new owner, Jason Johnson, about their crust. They make it every day and let it rise for a minimum of 24 hours before they use it for their pizza. And his staff doesn't want to do anything they won't be the best at, and you can taste it in their pizza. LaRocco's Pizza, just a half block north of the I-470 and Gage Boulevard exit. Come taste the difference.
And now for a word from Rory, our lender.
People often wonder why a lender has to verify information even after they have provided tax returns, pay stubs, and bank statements. The first step in the mortgage loan process is to fill out the application. It is important that you enter accurate and truthful information because we use this to pre-qualify you for your home loan. We will then ask for supporting documentation such as pay stubs, bank statements, W-2s, and some tax returns. We need these documents to verify the information on the application. Once verified and you have met the requirements of the loan, we will issue a pre-approval letter. Why do we verify these items up front? One, nobody likes surprises when it comes to buying a home. We want to ensure all relevant issues are resolved prior to the final product, so we maintain compliance and transparency. 2, the mortgage industry is heavily regulated. As you may know, there is a constant legislation to help monitor against lending abuse for borrowers and lenders. We verify to help both parties out of hot water. Bad guys are very smart. It's sad but sobering to know that criminals use the established banking and finance channels to further their ends. Laws that make life harder for the bad guys through greater scrutiny, documentation, and verification also make life harder for you. We are not the bad guys, and we want to help make sure nobody thinks you are too. And lastly, the bottom line. We verify to ensure we are maintaining the highest level of service while staying in compliance with federal regulations. Our goal remains the same, to keep the lines of communication open to help you through the smoothest loan process possible. As a lender, it's my job to make sure laws are enforced while also protecting you, the consumer. Verifying income and assets up front will save time in the long run, which means faster closing times. Loan Depot has an electronic application that allows you to enter your online banking information. This gives us access to your accounts, and we're able to get all of the documentation without bothering you to print the statements or go to the bank to get transaction histories. Soon, we will have the feature of being able to pull the consumer's tax returns and pay stubs with their authorization. Loan Depot is constantly developing features to make the mortgage loan process easier for you, the consumer. You can fill out an application on my website anytime at www.loandepot.com/Rory Chapman, spelled RORICHAPMAN, or give me a call at 785-249-5496.
Thank you for listening to Real Estate 101 with the Carrie Brown team from Preferred Advisors.